Lore is not always clear in Flesh and Blood. Its many mysteries captivate players and draws them towards seeking the answers to their questions. What fun is a story if you know all that will happen? In this video, I'll be taking a look at many theories, interesting finds, and other questions the community and myself have procured from all of Flesh and Blood's lore and world. During preview season for Everfest, we were treated to a special card that would help diversify the weapon loadouts of many classes. Arcane Lantern was our first ever card that could fit into the offhand and prevent arcane damage. However, the most interesting part of that card was what was written for it in its digital reveal tile. Those poor fools, lost to the arcane and corrupted by its power. We must find them, purify them, and save them from themselves. This is a quote that seems to have been said by an individual or group known as the Grey, but this is the first mention we have heard of them in any of the published lore up until this point. Looking at the card, initial thoughts could lead you to believe that the Arcane Lantern is a tool used to absorb the magical essence of Aether by whoever the Grey are. But if you look at the full artwork, the one holding the lantern appears to be a wizard of some description. What does this mean? This means that whether or not the Grey are the individuals shown in the artwork cannot be easily determined, making it still difficult to pinpoint their identity. Are they a league of vigilantes looking to eliminate all who use Aether in Wraith? If you have watched my lore pitch video, The Battle for Wraith, I gave my theory that perhaps the incursion of the Old Ones was related to the devout faith Solanians have in their deity soul. Faith in the world of Wraith does seem to manifest in certain individuals as a magic of sorts, as we can see with heroes like Bolton or Prism. Could it be that any form of magic is what draws the Old Ones towards the world? If so, the Grey are likely aware of this, and have made it their mission to save the world from further turmoil. Who knows? Perhaps that may be thinking too much into the theory, and the Grey are just aware of the downfalls that those who seek knowledge and control of the arcane can fall to. Either way, I'm very curious to see more references to the Grey in future sets to come. This particular theory is one that I have talked about with various members of the community for the past year, and has done the rounds on many community forums for some time. Let's take a look at Flesh and Blood's first hero ever released, Ira. Born into a renowned clan within Mysteria, her ancestor who founded the clan shrouded in mystery. During a tragic night, her village was attacked by horribly grotesque creatures. Only through the luck of finding a secret passage within a shrine did she manage to escape the slaughtering of her family, escaping with both her brother Jin and Mistress Ikairu's sword, Edge of Autumn. She went on to found the Crimson Haze, a group of rebels on a mission for answers, but her descent into a downward spiral of vengeance concerned her brother, who left the group to search for his own way forward. Now, what if I told you that these events happened centuries ago? The one thing that started this series was an excerpt from Katsu's backstory, in which he meets with a member of the Crimson Haze and discusses their history. We are a group known as the Crimson Haze. We've been at odds with Aoi's scales for a couple of centuries now. They didn't exactly take well to our founder's agenda, and, judging by the pendant hanging from around your neck, I'm assuming that they have a problem with your clan as well. Is a simple jade pendant so rare? I have seen many others on my travels. It is the symbols carved into it that give you away. Usually, only members of the great households wear seals such as yours, but the one that you wear is different to any of the other clans. I can only assume that you're from one of the hidden households. You speak as if you belong to one as well. Its name would mean nothing to you. The man shook his head. Your struggle is ours, stranger. You should join us. We may be able to help one another. We've been at odds with Aoi's scales for a couple of centuries now. This line is what caught my attention. For the Crimson Haze to be at odds with Aoi scales for a couple of centuries, one of two things has to be true. Either the individuals within the Crimson Haze and their ancestors have been opposed to Aoi scales even before the creation of the Crimson Haze, or the Crimson Haze is a few centuries old. And this second line also is of important note. They didn't exactly take well to our founder's agenda. As we know, Ira was the founder of the Crimson Haze. For the Aoi scales to not agree with Ira's agenda, this would imply that Ira is centuries old. However, this could also imply that the member of the Crimson Haze who said these lines was referring to Mistress Aikairu, the founder of Clan Aikairu, in which the Crimson Haze descends from. But this final part of the conversation helps push this theory of Ira's true age into plausible territory. I can only assume that you're from one of the hidden households. You speak as if you belong to one as well. Its name would mean nothing to you. For the name of Clan Aikairu to mean nothing to someone such as Katsu would imply either that Clan Aikairu and its destruction was kept as a very hidden secret, or that its history and impact on Mysteria was from such a long time ago that almost no living person would know of it. It is a very strange theory for sure, but not totally out of the realm of reality. It would make sense for Legend Story Studios to use a character detached from the current timeline of Wraith for their introductory product such as the Welcome Decks, and the curse that surrounds Edge of Autumn could very well keep Ira alive for many centuries into the current present day, allowing her story to be continued in future sets. I'm curious to know, do you think it is possible? One of my favourite new developments from Uprising is actually something that seems insignificant on the outside: the naming conventions used for those living in Volcor based on their social status. Within Volcor, two social classes make up the majority of the social hierarchy within the region: that of the noble Drakai and the lower class Volkai. Drakai are not beholden to any particular naming convention when given a name, and are bestowed positions within the royal court by the Emperor of Volcor. Volkai are not as fortunate in this regard, and are limited in what names they can be given. Their names must end in the phonetic sound I, to denote their Volkai origin. There are a few Volkai that we know of that we can use as examples of this: Phi and Dromai, two siblings at the heart of the story of Uprising; Kasai, a nomad that left Volcor on a mission to avenge the death of her father; and one more hero that you may have not initially thought of: Visceral. Within a pronunciation article released by Legend Story Studios in the lead up to Uprising, it is confirmed that Visceral is a Volkai name. We already knew that Visceral has most likely come from Volcor, as is theorised by Lord Sutcliffe, and further confirmed on Visceral's homepage on the official website. But there is more to this discovery than initial viewing may find. Visceral is not his original name. Upon being washed ashore and discovered by Lord Sutcliffe, he was tested and experimented on. It was not until he survived these tests and the installation of the Arknight Shard into his chest did Lord Sutcliffe bestow his latest creation a name: Visceral. This means that Lord Sutcliffe knew of the naming conventions of Volcor and had assumed that Visceral was a Volkai. But there is not any conceivable way that Lord Sutcliffe knew the true origins of Visceral's past life, unless he was told about it by Visceral himself. What this means is that Visceral may actually be a Drakai, not a Volkai. Another note to make is that Drakai often have the gift of Aether Affinity, the power to weave magic, which is something Visceral does have, whereas we currently do not know of many, if any at all, Volkai that possess this gift. Is Visceral actually a high-ranking member of the royal court of Volcor? It is certainly possible, and I am certain we are sure to learn more of his mysterious origins in the next few years of Flesh and Blood's lore. For those of you who have a keen eye, or just simply enjoy looking at the gorgeous artwork on your cards, you may have noticed some strange markings dotted throughout many of them. Legend Story Studios has a habit of leaving cryptic clues and messages for those of us that enjoy cracking them. and many in the community have done a fantastic job at doing so. One of the individuals spearheading the translation and clue cracking is Pieces Reeses on Twitter. They have created a long thread on Twitter breaking down many of the different symbols and languages found within card art, and I will link this in the description below. Regardless, I will cover what I consider to be some of the most interesting finds the community has found. To start deciphering the runes within artwork, we first need a cipher. Using context clues, the community has found 3 alphabets, each with their own symbols and meanings. The first language has been nicknamed the language of the arcane. This is the alphabet most players would have seen used within the game. Its symbols are comprised of quick flicks and slashes, and can most often be seen on Runeblade cards. Examples include the booster box for Arcane Rising. The shadows shall rise again, releasing the arcane arts once more. Circling runechant sigils. Fear not the lightning, fear the darkness that follows. And the product announcement for Monarch. I woke in darkness, amongst a ravenous legion. My body birthed from the shadows, my talons forged by the night. And as I grew, my hunger too, and the words of the master filled my mind. Child, let's bathe in the blood of the monarch. Let's dance on the grave of the light. The second language, nicknamed the language of Solana, is composed of curved symbols with a cursive nature to them. This language seems to mostly appear on cards with references to the light. Examples include Dorinthia Ironsong's Adult Hero card. By the light I speak that I will give my life in the light. And on the card back as well. Light, the brush stroke of creation. The card back also features runes for the arcane language. Darkness, canvas of the universe. The final language is nicknamed the language of the seers, and so far has only been spotted in the story article A Grand Adventure. This age of gods and monsters, Ophidia, the feeder of the Fiendal, will one day return. There are still many pieces of art with symbols left to translate, but unfortunately we have not been able to decode some of the letters and symbols of all of these languages. But perhaps one of you watching may have some knowledge that others have missed. In April 2022, many local game stores were given yet another armory kit containing prizes for players to win. However, these kits contained something a little different than normal. Players could go into the running to win one or more Cold Foil Illusionist Aura cards from Everfest, Haze Bending, Passing Mirage, and Pierce Reality. Whilst beautiful, their significance to lore was not immediately known until there was a specific video uploaded to the Flesh and Blood YouTube channel covering the contents of this armory kit. In this video, Alan Hale, the organised play manager for Legend Story Studios and co-host of the Radio Reflex podcast, states the following.
And as I mentioned, they tell a fantastic story. For you lore fans out there, these cards may hint at the future of Wraith.
The artwork of these 3 cards holds some significance in the lore of Wraith. In Haze Bending, the first card, we see an illusionist pulling strands of moonlight between her fingers with a castle in the background. In Passing Mirage, we see the same illusionist pulling apart the fabric of reality to show a landscape of sun and grasslands. One thing to note in particular with this artwork is not only the concerned look upon the woman's face, but the lurking creature perched on top of the castle's walls. And finally, in Pierce Reality, we get a full view of the creature that the illusionist was concerned of, a 5-eyed, tiger-like beast piercing the veil between worlds. So what exactly are these scenes depicting if they are representing the future of Wraith? Perhaps this is a story of godlike beings or Aesir entering Wraith from another dimension such as Eorathiel, yet by doing so drawing beings such as the Old Ones and the Emperor through the tear in reality as well. Who knows? LSS does a fantastic job at foreshadowing various parts of the story of Flesh and Blood, leaving just enough to pique our curiosities without spoiling their intentions. These were 5 lore mysteries of flesh and blood yet to be fully understood or answered. Did I miss any particular mysteries that have got you curious? Do you agree with any of the theories I presented, or do you have your own thoughts on the matter? I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. In addition, I would like to reward the fans that have stuck around to the end of this video. I have 5 Herald of Rebirth promo packages to give away, one of each pitch variant within each package. To enter, simply leave a comment and your Discord or Twitter username about anything you'd like, whether about lore such as questions you may have or wild theories you have, or anything else you'd like to say. I much prefer to reward those who have supported my content and actively watch it, rather than asking for views or likes through social media. So keep a close eye on my content in the near future for even more giveaways to enter. I have plenty more to give away. Until next time, much love, and stay curious.